Here are two elms that I started, I guess 2 years ago. Potted them up last year. Roots must have been severely one-sided, so I decided to do some kind of cascade. And as you can see, this one really got away from me and is swelling up around the wire. Not even sure where I was going with the design. I can't even tell where the front is, so I will have to investigate that. As you can see, I was going for the herringbone look on this type of cascade, which is probably not something you would typically do. With a woody bonsai, it's more something you would see in the chrysanthemum world, where they do those giant cascades. They have a lot of different forms: feather stitch, apron, cursive, herringbone. So I don't know if I was inspired by that or inspired by all the little branches, but either way, it needs to be updated. Gonna need to change containers, inspect the roots. I don't see any insects, which makes me happy. I don't see any slugs, which makes me happy. Usual complement of weeds. So pull those out. Now, this was in a shallow container, relatively shallow container, and the roots have hit the edges, come back, done some loops around. So I think I'm going to disentangle this and see if I can find out what's going on right up here, and then try and figure out where I was going from my front and where I was going for the back of the planting. I do not have a problem with my cascades coming in front of the container. I don't have a problem with them having lots of interesting curves. I've seen some really, what I consider, boring cascades over the years. So I want to say that would make a nice front, because I have this side of the tree definitely leaning in one direction, so that leads me to believe I was planning that as the front. And what I'd like to do is go with something taller than what it was in, or perhaps just raise it up. So I think what I'm going to do is raise it up. Now, you want to talk about drainage holes? That's got some drainage holes. So I have a piece of screening. I have no idea. For all I know, it could have been an old window screen. I don't remember. I've had them for years. So do a layer of soil. Hit the roots with some Super Thrive. And then I think I'm going to go with that angle. I'm not going to put any wire on it this year. I'm going to leave a lot of the twigs and foliage that I would probably take off to enhance the line. I'm going to leave them around to help fill in the wire scars. Now we've got to firm this up. Raise it up, poke down in between the roots. Feel for air pockets, make sure you don't leave any. Air pockets are potential homes for insects, and air pockets don't let roots grow. So, hit it with some Super Thrive. Now I'm going with Owen Reich's idea that organic fertilizer keeps your plants supple and that synthetic fertilizers make them brittle. That's what he does with the azaleas. Not sure it makes a difference with the Catlin Elm, but I'm trying a couple with organic and a couple with synthetic fertilizer and see who responds the best. So definitely in need of a rewiring, but not this year. I'm gonna let it sit, try and recover. Or should I say, fill in those scars. All right, so let's take a look here. Has my favorite weed. Technically it's not a weed unless you don't want it. I like it, so it's not a weed. A little piece of selaginella. It's a good ground cover. Helps you know when your soil is on the dry side. It's kind of like a living moisture meter. And you'll get to the point where when you're looking at your trees, you'll know instantly from 50 feet away that you skipped a watering, you need to do something. So now this is where you wish you had an assistant with you today or multiple hands. See, the roots were definitely one-sided on this, so I'm thinking I was probably going for that crazy line. I don't know if I'm going to want to change this section here. Might leave that, but I think I need a wire down there. So I'm going to try and wire just that little section so I don't wire scar the rest of the trunk. With my track record of, I don't want to call it neglect, but with a work schedule that makes it difficult for me to come home with enough energy every night to start working on the trees. They end up fending for themselves and make sure they get watered once, twice a day, whatever they need in that department. But when it comes to everything else, sometimes life just gets in the way. Or I'm too tired and too lazy. So, could be either one. Could be both. Alright, so I'm going to come down there and I'm going to want to bend off that branch. So I'm not sure where this is going to wind up. But I'm going to give him a year to do his thing. I think I'm going to go into a bigger container. than the one it was in originally. Could probably go with a much taller container, but I'm going to use that notch I put in the pot to secure it in place. Top that off with some more of the soilless media. And then I'll super thrive it in. Kind of wash down the soil. I'm going to leave those roots exposed. I want them to start to bark up and harden off, with the intent that they'll be interesting someday. Alright, so that is 2 crazy cascades, and now I just have to decide whether I'm going to go with the Miracle Grow. I'm going to go with the Osmocote or my homemade organic, and then take it from there. So I'm going to go back in the same spot of the greenhouse it came out of, which was a relatively cool spot. Put them back there and leave them alone for a couple months. So this is where I'm supposed to say like, subscribe, comment, questions, all that kind of stuff. So feel free to leave comments, maybe make a request if there's something you want to see, and then tell your friends. But most importantly, go out and play with your trees. Have fun.